Hello everybody, my name is Poison Ducky, and today we're going to have the Beastmen versus the mighty Vamppire Counts. Now let's get into the army introduction before all hell breaks loose and a rock has already been thrown. Alright, now I'm going to have a very similar build to when I versed the Chaos Army in a previous video, and I'm going to have 4 units of Ungor Spearman Herd. Now, I did not take the shields this time, as shields are not necessary. Well, at least I got few of them didn't have shields. Shields aren't necessary against a faction that has no projectiles. So I got 2 unshielded. I really got 2 shielded ones. I must have had extra funds at the time. And a backline protection of 3 Ungor Herd. Now, all of these are super cheap infantry units. Make a, chaff line. But yet they deal a lot of damage against... They're better than skeletons, yet worse than Graveguard, which is a nice intermediate. Now, all the way in the back line, I'm going to have 2 units of Cygore herds. Now, these are just the fantastic, the black orcs of the Beastmen army, although just not as good. Armored, armor-piercing. And then the one great thing about Cygore herds is that for their armor and... power, they're very fast. 41 speed for an armor-piercing unit. Very fantastic. And on the right flank, I'm going to have the Destroyers of Drakwold. They're just an Ungor Spearman herd with shields. Increased stats and poison damage. Another on the list of a Spearman unit with poison. But it's a good combination and never gets old. Now, as my leader today, I'm going to bring the mighty Malagor the Dark Omen. I really like him as a leader. I like his magic selection, and he's just he's a gore with 2 black crow wings. Such a cool unit. Very underused. Everyone usually uses Morgur the Shadow Gave, but rightfully so. Morgur is a monster on the battlefield, but Malagor has this... He needs a spot in the sunlight as well. And over here, I'm going to have 2 Gorbals. Just... 2 alpha minotaurs that are anti-large and armor-piercing with so much armor and damage. If you don't take at least 1 Gorbal, I think you're doing it wrong. Now, my opponent, on the other hand, is going to bring a lot of Graveguard, and I mean a lot. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 units of Graveguard. He was expecting a low armor army composition, and he's correct. I did bring very low armor, and Graveguard are super effective at killing my Gores and Ungor herds. So, to back up his front line, have a little buffer. He's going to have 2 units of skeleton warriors, some zombies, just to make it some more cheap stuff to cut through. And the real meat of his army is the 2 units of Blood Knights, one of the best cavalry units. It's been stated once and it'll be stated again. They're just amazing. They have some of the best stats. They have frenzy. They have anti-large. Their charge bonus is insane at 78, and they're shielded and armored. There's literally nothing bad about this unit, except even their speed is decent. 70 speed on a heavy cavalry, just great. Now the lord he's going to choose is going to be a generic blood dragon vampire lord, very powerful. And a slightly different spell list with Curse of Years. The lore of vampires. Oh, it's just the lore of vampires as usual. But it's just a nice pick overall, though. All vampire lores are pretty good. And the lore, I like the Blood Dragon. I like how he has dual wielding. He's just like a berserker vampire. He's kind of like the other von Karstein. Kurtish, or something like that. And 2 dire wolves on the side, just for backline pressure, just in case I had more projectiles. So good balanced army overall, although a lot of emphasis on Graveguard and Blood Knights. Oh, I forgot to introduce my 1 unit. I do have the Black Ones Ravagers. I did deploy them in Vanguard Zone. I just like to do it just in case they deploy Vanguard, so I can catch off some dire wolves. If they spawn right on top of each other, that's a free unit. All right, let's get this replay started. Now, my mighty Eye of Morslib Cygore. Fantastic artillery unit. I just love this unit. He's going to be throwing so many rocks, and of course I need to focus the most dangerous unit on his army, which are the Blood Knights. I need to get this unit off the battlefield or cripple it as soon as possible. It'll be quite dangerous. And my opponent is going to go for the offensive. Well, he has to go for the offensive as I have the range advantage. And these rocks, look at that. And if you saw closely, those were 2 rocks, and that's because I summoned another Cygore. Now, with the summon nerfs, Cygores are not nearly as powerful as they used to be, but as long as it gets some ammo into the Blood Knights, that's a lot of pressure just gone from the enemy army. Look how much... That's one of their most expensive units already at half health, straight off the bat, and I haven't used any resources, except some magic, of course. Winds of magic. Now he is going to charge his Blood Knights into the back of my Spearmen. Spearmen are anti-large and they're very cheap, so dealing with that will be okay. My Destroyers of Drakwold are going to be going here, and he's going to try to cycle charge with a second unit of Blood Knights into my Ungor herd that are unbraced. Now over here in the front line, he is moving up, and we have an engagement. My Blackhorn's Ravagers are going to go into the Skeleton Warriors, and my Spearmen are going to intercept the Skeleton Warriors on the flanks. But my main concern here is going to be the Blood Knights. I use the ability called the Warp Gaze from my Cygore, which roots them in place, and I'm just going to bombard them. Not only that, I'm going to get them stuck in so many Spearmen. It'll be quite fantastic little hammer. Fortunately for my opponent, he is going to send in his Lord and terror route them and use a spell that reduces the melee attack and speed and increases ability recharge, but that would only be useful if Malagor would be in there, but he's not. Curse of Years, such a fantastic spell overall. It's just like the Mist of the Damned. Now, over sending in his Lord, I'm going to have to fight back with my mighty Gorbals. Gorbals anti-large, it's a perfect matchup. Once the Blood Knights lose their charge bonus, it is a feast for the Gorbals to destroy the heavily armored units. Now his Lord is going to go back in the sky, as it is dangerous to fight 2 Gorbals. I want to fight 2 Gorbals. Nothing, essentially everything will lose to 2 Gorbals, except maybe 2 Werekin or Skin Wolves. Now I'm just the little dire wolves are going to get into my Spearmen, but this is really no problem. Even Malagor is here with his. I love how when he walks, he transmutates the. This is such a fantastic little. You transmutate the ground underneath his where he walks. Sorry about that. I had a little distraction. My little cat rubbed against my leg, but otherwise. The front line is going well. The Bestigor herds are fighting the Graveguard, but look at this. Oh god, it's going to be dangerous. And here comes I saw the positioning from the Vamppire Lord, and I already saw it coming. Oh no. A massive breath attack that will destroy my Bestigor herds. Now these are my strongest infantry in the army, and essentially my best way of dealing with the enemy Graveguard. Now the Graveguard are crumbling and are taking massive damage on both flanks, as while I don't have the armor piercing to deal with them, I have just so many numbers that they're so tired, diminished, and debilitated. And the Eye of Morslib is essentially he's just getting free reign. I summon a second Cygore here. This second Cygore is going to be using more projectiles into the enemy Graveguard army, making sure I get this off the battlefield as fast as possible, as they are the biggest threat to my army. Now, a little microwing error from my opponent here. He just has some units just left here. Like, he could easily flank over here. He can use his units over here to not attack Gorbals. Gorbals, yeah, you don't want to fight Gorbals. He can use these units to go over here, pressure my Eye of Morslib. My Eye of Morslib has 100 kills so far. My opponent, on the other hand, does effectively get my Cygore stuck. A little micro error on my side. I could have just walked the Cygore out of this, but he summons zombies right on top of my artillery piece, which is not good in terms of, while my artillery piece will do fine in just killing him, he will be much more efficient throwing his rocks at enemy lords. Another breath attack hits my army, and I believe that's going to rout this flank almost in its entirety. The balance of power is strongly in my favor, though. I still have 615 units on the battlefield, and my Destroyers with Drakwold are going to come back and reinforce the flanks, while my Gorbals are just going to kill everything. I love the Gorbil. It's just I think there's one of the most badass units in this game. Now over here, we're going to have some... Oh, man. It's just Graveguard. It's going to take us a while to grind down these Graveguard, as like they have so much armor at, what, 90 armor? And I have very little armor piercing, only being Gorble, Cygores, and Bestigores, and my Bestigores essentially all just routed. Now I'm going to use a little spell, the Vile Tide, to break up the formation, do a little bit of magical damage. Malagor is good for that overall, and it's going to be cleanup duty. The only real threat left is going to be the Blood Dragon Vampire Lord. He's going to try to go in for my Cygore, and I'm going to react with the Warp Gaze. Now he's going to be rooted. I really wish that he got rooted on the ground, and you can even see I moved my Gorbles in reaction, hoping that my root would force him onto the ground, but he just barely goes back up into the sky. But here comes a dive. He's going to try to terror out my army, and he successfully does. Oh, they're terrified. But do you know who doesn't care about that? Gorble. Gorble is going to run straight into this undead dragon along with Malagor in support. I'm going to use a Traitorkin spell so that everyone is decreased in speed, and my opponent is going to return with a Helm of Discord, decreasing the melee attack and melee defense of all the units in this mosh pit of death. He summons another zombie unit. Oh god, there's... One of the things I hate about fighting vampire accounts, and Scave in general, are this summoned units spam. And zombies are just so good at just mucking up the units in the back line. And the Eye of Morslib has 172 kills at this point. Now my reinforcements are going to be trickling back in, join this mosh pit as the Helm of Discord is offline. And my Gorbills actually took a massive beating from the Blood Dragon Vampire Lord. Well, at least one of them. And the other one will just be continue to whack this dragon to death with their massive axes. And with that, everyone's going to disintegrate as the army losses take effect. Let's take our unit effectiveness. Overall, a really good game to my opponent, Leonard Bow. I really enjoyed it. His breath attack play was what kept him in the game for as long as he could have. If he didn't use his breath attacks as masterfully as he did, the game would have been over so much faster. But overall, I really liked Malagor. 84 kills, 64, 76 on the Gorbills. A lot of them are on summon zombies, but look at that. While 90 kills may look like a lot for the Blood Knights, I must say they were on Spearmen, which are super cheap, and I'm just really happy with the performance of the Eye of Morslib, and I summoned 2 Cygores that matches. That's 3 Cygores in total throwing rocks at Blood Knights. I took the Blood Knights relatively quick out of the game. So the biggest threat, you always want to focus your biggest threat to your army if you have the range advantage. So go for those Blood Knights, take them out. Very powerful unit, you need them out of here. So I take them out, and the next unit would be the Graveguard as they destroy my infantry. Now you might ask, hey, Poison, why aren't you focusing the Blood Dragon Lord? Throw rocks at him. Well, the problem with that is that single entity units, large units like the Dragon, are just going to be healed up. Now he may reach the healing cap faster. It's not going to be efficient for my time to throw rocks at the Lord. He's just going to use a little... what's it called? Reconstruction, heal it. I forgot the exact spell of it, and get his health back up, and it's just not going to be useful. So everyone did well. Bestigore Herd versus Graveguard destroyed. He didn't bring any Graveguard with great weapons. I don't blame him. And surprisingly enough, the Blackhorn Ravagers, 131 kills, just high kill number counts overall. Even my Spearmen, like 107 on a Spearman unit. Fantastic. Well, I hope you guys liked the video, and leave a like if you liked it. Subscribe if you want more. I'll catch you guys later.